Yaps. It's in the name. BRICS secret new money system. This is going to be real interesting. You guys don't know, BRICS is Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, and now a lot more other countries coming together to make new deals and new agreements. BRICS is like a modern day, or an example of like a modern day NATO amongst smaller countries.
In 2026, New Delhi. India just unveiled something. It's not a missile. It's not a trade deal. It's a logo. Stay with me here. That logo represents India taking over as chair
This guy's voice is deep.
of BRICS. Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, plus a few new members we'll get to. But here is what caught my attention. While everyone was looking at the logo launch in New Delhi, three other things were happening at the exact same time. Chinese warships were docking at the Cape of Good Hope. Russia was rolling out satellites to compete with Starlink, and India was quietly putting something called CBDC bridge on the agenda.
The CBDC bridge, basically digital currency.
Okay,
Cryptocurrency.
you might be thinking, what does any of these have to do with money? Everything. Because what I discovered is
It all goes back to the money. This guy's onto something. This guy is onto something.
that BRICS isn't just talking anymore. They are building actual pipes, payment rails that bypass SWIFT, naval coordination
Like Ripple USD, there's a lot of companies trying to go around SWIFT right now.
at Africa's most strategic sea lanes, and a space internet that doesn't answer to Silicon Valley. So let me show you what's really going on here. Because by the end of this video, you would understand why a seemingly boring logo launch in New Delhi might be one of the biggest strategic moves of 2026. On January 13th, India's External Affairs Minister Jaishankar stood in front of cameras and unveiled the theme for the BRICS.
Dr. Jason Carr. God, why does is it only in America where if someone has a doctor in their name, you like go out of their way to pronounce that they're a doctor?
Chairship, building for resilience,
That's a title that they earn, no?
innovation, cooperation, and sustainability. You notice something? The first letters spell BRICS. Cute, right? But look closer at the imagery. The logo has a lotus, India's national flower. It uses the colors of all BRICS member flags, and the gesture, Namaste, which is diplomatic speak for we are here to bring everyone together and not pick fights. So here is what Jaishankar actually said, and I am pulling directly.
Our chairship theme reflects our belief that cooperation among BRICS members can help address shared challenges in a balanced and in an inclusive manner.
Balanced and inclusive. Remember those words. Now, here is where it gets interesting. India chose 4 priorities for their chairship: digital public infrastructure for financial inclusion, fair energy transition, and deeper security cooperation. Sounds like standard diplomatic talk, right? But watch what happens when we layer in what else was happening that same week. Because while India was hosting press conferences in New Delhi, there were Chinese destroyers at the southern tip of Africa. Why? Hold that thought. January 9th through 16th.
Yeah, I actually had no clue about this.
2026, Simonstown, South Africa, right at the Cape of Good Hope, where the Atlantic meets the Indian Ocean. A naval exercise called Wheel for Peace 2026, also known as Mosi 3, is underway. Who showed up? China sent a guided destroyer, the Tangshan, plus a supply ship and special forces. Russia sent a corvette. South Africa contributed a frigate, and Iran sent ships too. Now, the official theme, according to China's Ministry of Defense, joint actions to ensure the safety of key shipping lanes and maritime economy activities, anti-piracy drills, search and rescue, hijacked vessel scenarios.
So that's what that
all
was?
very legitimate maritime security stuff. But here is what the analysts I read are asking. Why this location? Why now? And why these specific countries together? See, the Cape isn't just scenic. After the Red Sea became risky for shipping due to regional conflicts, more vessels started going through around Africa. The Cape route is becoming more critical for oil, gas, and goods flowing between Asia, Europe, and the Americas, according to African security researchers, and I am citing the Institute of Security Studies here. There is a disconnect between South Africa's stated foreign policy of known alignments and hosting these drills with Russia and China. Now, I'm not saying these drills are automatically bad or good. What I'm saying is,
in 2026, it is expected to feature an increased de-dollarization efforts through digital link payments rather than a single physical everyday use currency. I completely agree, and I said this yesterday, but like in video games, we're getting used to like 3 different credits, 3 different currencies within a game. You normally got like in Arc Raiders, you got your space dollars, and you got your credits, and then you got like your space gold, if you would. I wonder if we're gonna see something like that in the world, where the world's gonna be using like XRP, Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana as forms of payment.
that they are building something. Interoperability. The navies are learning to talk to each other, coordinate, move together. But why does a country need its navy to coordinate with others when you're supposedly just focusing on anti-piracy? Unless there is something bigger they are coordinating, something that needs protection. Which brings me to the third layer.
Skynet?
Now, while ships were drilling off South Africa, Russia was doing something completely different. Or was it? Russia started serial production of something called Zoki satellites. These are part of a constellation named Razvet, the answer to Starlink. The plan? Over 300 satellites in low Earth orbit by around 2027. User terminals rolling out in 2026. Broadband for remote Russian regions. Secure communications for military. Now, on the surface, this sounds like Russia wants its own internet because sanctions get it off from Western tech. Fair enough, but here is the deal that made me sit up. Russian officials said they plan to offer connectivity.
What's interesting, I'm sorry to pause this so much. I find it interesting that America has its own internet, China has its own internet, Iran supposedly has its own internet that it can turn on and turn off. I just find that fascinating that we're not all on the same World Wide Web.
To allied countries, including potentially BRICS partners. Now think about what that means. If you are an African country with limited bandwidth in rural areas and high prices from internet providers, suddenly you have another option. Now, is this good or bad for Africa? That's not for me to decide, but it's definitely a choice that didn't exist 5 years ago. And this is where all 3 stories start to connect. Okay, ships at the Cape, satellites in orbit, India's humanity first chairship. What ties them up together? Pipes. India added something to the BRICS 2026 agenda called the BRICS CBDC bridge. Now, CBDC stands for Central Bank Digital Currency, basically digital versions of money issued by central banks. China already has the digital yuan, the eCNY. India has the e-rupee. Russia is rolling out the digital ruble. And there is already a platform called mBridge, run by China, UAE, Thailand, and Saudi Arabia. That's processed about $55 billion in transaction.
They do use XRP for some of this transaction. It's very interesting, and HBAR as well.
Most of it in digital yuan. So, what's BRICS CBDC?
And we have a digital USD. We have USD.
Bridge. According to reports from Ledger Insight and BRICS Brazil, it's infrastructure that lets these digital currencies talk to each other directly. Right now, if a Nigerian company wants to pay a Chinese supplier, the money typically routes through corresponding banks in London and New York. That transaction touches SWIFT, the messaging system that connects banks globally. And that takes days. Fees get deducted.
Yep.
And if there is a sanction,
it's expensive and it's slow.
Or compliance flag, it can freeze. The BRICS CBDC bridge proposal says, what if the transaction goes directly from Lagos to Shanghai in seconds, in digital rupees or yuan? No New York middleman. Now, I found a post on LinkedIn, not official policy, just a trade finance guy explaining the concept. And he said, the next 500k export deal will settle in 8 seconds in digital rupees without touching the US bank. Now, that's aspirational, not reality yet.
No, it is in a sense, but it can't happen right now. Like a 500k deal done via crypto, not touching a middleman, and that can't happen.
But the idea is out there. Here's where the ships and satellites come in. If you are building payment rails that bypass Western financial
Oh my gosh, Donald Trump. Hello, Mr. President. We are watching what may be the future of how payments are settled. So I would take notes because I have a funny feeling we're going to need to implement something like this in America, because if we're not like Maharaga and we don't adapt, we're going to get crushed.
infrastructure, you probably want 1. Secure communications that don't rely on Western satellites or undersea cables that pass through Western jurisdictions. 2. Naval capacity to protect shipping lanes, where those goods you are paying for actually move. And 3. A diplomatic framework that makes this look like global South cooperation rather than anti-Western alliance. And that's where
That's what I'm saying. We got the president in here.
Comes in. While China and Russia provide the hardware, satellites, ships, payment tech, India provides the narrative, human first, people-centric development, balanced and inclusive. It's brilliant, actually. Okay, so let's bring this home. What does any of these mean for Africa? Let me break down the opportunities and the risk, because this isn't simple. If African exporters can settle directly with BRICS buyers in digital currency, they skip expensive correspondent banking fees. According to trade data, China-Africa trade alone is over $280 billion a year.
Wow.
Even a 1 to 2% saving on transaction costs
Could be
adds up
insane.
fast.
Yeah.
Right now, if you are an African country negotiating with Western payment processors or satellite providers, you have limited alternatives. BRICS system gives you options, and options means better terms. Many African regions have terrible internet coverage and slow financial services. If BRICS satellite internet or digital payment rails help fix that, people benefit. Now, the risk. You know there are risks involved in this. The first one, new dependencies. You are not just replacing one dependency with freedom. You are potentially replacing Western systems with Chinese or Russian ones.
Which one sounds better to you? I mean, it sounds like 3 bad choices.
Different controls, different rules. 2. Geopolitical entanglement. If African countries plug into BRICS financial or security systems, what happens when BRICS countries have disputes with Western nations or with each other? Remember, China and India aren't exactly best friends on everything. Risk 3. Regulatory complexity. African central banks would need to figure out how to interoperate BRICS CBDCs with existing systems like the Pan-African Payments and Settlement System. You see, that's not just plug and play, that's years of technical and regulatory work. So here is the real question. Can African countries use BRICS infrastructure without becoming pawns in someone else's game? I think the answer is yes. If African policy makers are strategic, if they treat BRICS as one option among many, not replacing ideology, if they negotiate hard for sovereignty over data and payments, and if they keep building Pan-African systems at the same time. Look, here is what I want to take from this. For the past 20 years, BRICS was dismissed as a talk shop. Summits, declaration, not much action. But 2026 looks different. India isn't just hosting meetings. They are building a narrative. China isn't just offering loans. They are offering payment rails and satellites. Russia isn't just selling weapons. They are providing connectivity options. And all 3 systems, money, navies, space, are moving in the same direction at the same time. That's not a coincidence, that's coordination. So for Africa,
that's a fair analysis.
This moment is a crossroads. There are genuine opportunities here, faster payments, better connectivity, more choice. But there are also risks of sleepwalking into new dependencies. So my direct challenge to you is this. Don't just watch this unfold passively. If you are in policy, trade, finance, tech, ask hard questions, push for transparency, demand sovereignty safeguards. If you are in the diaspora thinking about investing in Africa, understand these new payment systems because they might affect how you move money and do business. And if you are just someone who cares about Africa's future, share this conversation because the more Africans understand what's been built around us, the better positioned we are to shape it rather than just react to it. The world is rewriting itself. The question is whether Africa will be at the table designing the new system or just a market of someone else's infrastructure.
This guy's good. This guy's good. I really like this channel.
I know which option I prefer. If this analysis helped you see something new, hit that like button. If you want more deep dives like
No, we'll definitely keep on the tab of what's going on in Africa just to show you guys. Look, Boom, hit that subscribe button, like the video. Everything's moving towards India. History repeats itself. We love Africa, love from India. Interesting. As an Indian, I hope BRICS alliance success. The multipolar world should not be run by U.S. Hegemony. Everyone needs growth. If you know, India also has 2 satellite internet alternatives to Starlink. It's R12 OneWeb and the Geo Space Fiber. Africa has always considered its steps very seriously. I don't think that's true at all, but that's okay, Donald Martin. Wow, you know, crazy.